of love, love. Got lots 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 of love, love. Yeah. 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 Memories. Memories. Yeah. Memories. Memories.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Console Gaming League. I am Joker's Ransom. He is Too Tryhard Ray, and we are here to bring you a matchup between Team Big Dog and Red Team. And this matchup should be incredible. Both of these two teams here, Ray, are undefeated going into this matchup. And Team Big Dog has not dropped the map just yet.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive to get this far. It's 4-0, so you got 4 whole matches without dropping a map. That is incredible. That's like Atlanta Reign Overwatch League style. So let's go ahead and talk about their roster, Joker, because I know you know a lot of these people.
Yeah, we've got Godspeed and Nuke on the DPS line right there. Godspeed in for the Tracer role to start it off. And then Scatter on the tank line, and Paradox and Boof, who is also known as Bald Spot, if that's the name you know more for them. And I'm very excited to see this team yet again. I casted them on I believe Wednesday it was. Yeah, I didn't cash yesterday, so Wednesday. And this team looked almost unbeatable, but they are going to be up against a very tough opponent here.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and pull up their roster. It's the big bad boys we know to come and love when it comes to CGL. It is Red Team, which is an iteration of that all-star blue team lineup. So for this lineup, they got Worth Shatter for that tank, with Coach and Dinks for that support line, with Hopeful and Hey, I'm Zero. I mean, I'm sure most of you guys recognize a lot of these faces. They are so well known for dominating the console scene in CGL, and they're hoping to do that again tonight.
Yeah, hopefully indeed. And you were at least talking to Worth in the DMs before this game, and why don't you tell them their little they threw something spicy out there, Ray.
Oh yeah, worth talking with him in DMs. I know him pretty well. I was just like, hey, I'm casting your game. I expect a good match. He is spreading a 3-0 for red team. So I like the confidence. Let's see if they can back that up.
Yeah, that's what they're hoping for here. But well, we have obviously our map to start things off here, Ray. This is a predetermined first map to start it off. And it is going to be Ilios. This is round number 2. We are away from Oasis, even though it actually got back pretty quickly. It was out of rotation. Then it's quickly back into rotation. But we don't have to worry about that. We have to worry about Ilios and what these two teams are going to bring to Ilios.
Yeah, keep in mind, I'm taking a look at the bracket right now. While we dive into Ilios. But so on the other stream right now, Lunaris and Strawberry are going at it. The winner will be moving on to the grand finals to face the winner of this team. So there's a lot at stake on both of these streams. And they got you get map points on the line for getting second and third, I believe. And then you get a match point in your favor for getting first. So a lot for these teams to be fighting for when it comes to the final playoffs.
Yeah, both of these two teams looking to get that extra match win going into the grand final. All right, the end of season playoffs there, which again, right now, like you're talking about, Ray, these, or at least we were talking before stream, especially for red team with those teams, there's a lot of teams right now undefeated in that group. So they've got, if they can get this match win, that could set themselves up good for the later playoffs going down the line.
Could not agree more, because Lunaris on the other side, there's 3 undefeated teams. It's Big Dawg, Red Team, and Lunaris. So one of these teams will be going to the grand finals, and we'll see if they end up facing Lunaris, but we could be getting a battle of the undefeateds in the grand finals. That could be pretty awesome. But we are zooming in and focusing on this game, as we mentioned, Ilios being that first map. I'm very excited to see where we go here, because Worth has been really expanding his tank pool and all the different tanks that he's able to play at a high level. And that's going to bode itself very well throughout the series and on Ilios specifically.
Yeah, definitely, as we're loading right into the game here now. And, well, we'll see how these two teams determine to attack. Yeah, with Worth trying to obviously go the extra mile, trying to get into Path to Pro. He was previously working with Team Gambit in Open Division. Definitely trying to, because obviously we know him as a main tank player. Obviously with Overwatch 2, you need to be able to play more than just main tanks, and I'm glad to see him trying to expand upon that hero pool. But right now, these two teams looking kind of different right now.
Extremely different. So we see Red Team going with that, as we say that, so they're going to swap over to the D.Va. So they're going for more of a poke style composition, with Hopeful being able to hold that high ground, while Worth and Ham Zero are trying to set up little mini dives, while Big Dogs are just looking to completely aggress and get on top of Red Team with this Rush Junker Queen composition.
I mean, we'll see how it works out for them here. They got to take out that healing pylon, and there it goes early on. Scatter taking that out. Now they can look to ingress, but hey, they still have to deal with Worth on this D.Va, forcing them back, not really allowing them out of this corridor. Now with the defensive matrix gone, they can maybe make a play, looking to rotate around. Still nothing really going on. They're still just waiting for that opening, and Godspeed's so low, trying to take out Hopeful, but they're the ones to go down early on in this fight as Red Team capitalize and take this first fight.
That's going to be the issue for Team Big Dog, Joker, is because they're playing this Lucio Moira. Moira has that limited amount of heals that she's going to be able to provide. So you got to get into these fights and win them extremely quickly. And it just took Big Dogs too long, as Red Team thrived in the ability to have that extra healing with the Baptiste and the Ilari, and being able to have that immortality field for further sustain.
Yeah, Moira not in the best spot right now in terms of viability, but still trying to make it work here in the long run. And while coming in back strong as Team Big Dog, they've taken Worth out of mech and, well, taking them back to spawn fully, but they still have to deal with the remaining players of Red Team as Boof has been found out, and now Red Team still finding pick zeros, taking Paradox out. No more supports currently on the board. Still need to be able to flip this back, and, well, Godspeed's going to go down, and that's going to allow Red Team to take back the point.
And this composition that Red Team is playing, Joker, it's really allowing the individual players to pop off. You have Snake on the Ilari who could just get those headshots. Same with Dinks on the Baptiste. You have the ability to find picks. We saw Dinks get that kill onto Godspeed as we now see him going over to the Widow trying to look for quick picks. But Red Team is looming. Heian Zero has this EMP and is just trying to search for a good one.
Like Batman from above. No, not gonna go in, and they're just gonna TP out of there. That's just gonna get rid of the Sombra for the fight for a little bit here. Now this is the time for Team Big Dog to come into this fight, but they took too long. Zero is back, and now the ghost sign is there with the Bob and EMP coming in. As Scatter goes down so low, and the Bob does so much work for Red Team and works out in their favor. However, Godspeed and Nuke do find two of their own. It's still somewhat winnable for Team Big Dog right now.
I think you're probably going to have to slow down just a little bit with your Team Big Dog, mostly because Red Team still has their support on the field to be able to keep Hopeful up, and you kind of are in an even fight. So, yeah, all the players are back, and we're going to get another fight here.
Oh, that's a huge play. Scatter taking Snake out. No more Captive Sun for this fight, and that's perfect timing. Now Scatter can get into the fray of things, but they're going to go down. They get over aggressive, and they can't find any picks, and they just lose everything out. Nuke trying to turn it around, not going to be able to do anything. It's all but over here for this first round of Ilios as Red Team put their foot down 100-17.
I get the idea that Big Dogs is trying to do there, Joker. You know, you get that early pick onto Snake, and you want to continue to snowball those picks and get the point in your favor. But like you mentioned, too over aggressive, and because of that, Red Team was able to pop that Ant Matrix and completely punish the aggressive nature that Big Dogs were taking and got those kills one by one, and that was all she wrote. As we now head into Lighthouse, I think this composition that Red Team has been playing with this Diva is perfect heading into Lighthouse because you have the ability to control high ground with your tank, help out Hopeful, give him DM if he needs it. Big Dogs is the curious one because it looks like they're going to keep the Orisa style composition, but for Orisa specifically, she's going to be better suited to holding point, and that's going to be, you know, quite a task, but they are going to play the Mei Sim to try and help with that.
Yeah, and Boof going to be going over to the Iari as well to help lock down that point with that sustained healing of the healing pylon, and they're just going to rotate the point. And now they're set up well here, and Dinks is super low. They can't really ingress, but Hopeful finds the shot onto Boof and takes them already out of this fight. And now they are going to just try to rotate to this point here with Hopeful getting in these pot shots from long range still. Team Big Dog are able to get that first point capture in their favor and still holding things strong, finding a pick, and still no real way for Red Team to really ingress, as losing Hopeful there is going to be difficult.
Yeah, the issue for Red Team is letting Nuke continue to live longer and longer in these fights is a very big detriment to them. Allowing this Symmetra to build up to that beam is so dangerous, so that's going to be your target, as Nuke has found Snake. And that's just going to continue the percentage built up for Big Dogs because you cannot push in without your Ilari. You need those heals.
You desperately do. Zero trying to farm up EMP to get things somewhat set up for them. Now the rotation away from the point is going to open things up a little bit more for Red Team. Now they get away from that safe haven of the point, and they lose 3 players, Ray. This is just not what you wanted to see. Building up to the EMP and not going to even have to use any ultimates here as Red Team to take back the point.
Yeah, I think that was kind of a big mistake coming from Big Dogs, leaving when you're playing a bunker in the point kind of composition, to just leave it even though you feel you have the numbers. You leave all your turret damage and value you get from that. Harder for your Symmetra to build up to that beam when everyone's confined on the point. So I don't know. I think that was a big mistake as Red Team, as you mentioned, won that fight without committing an ultimate, so they're in a really good position now.
They really are. They've got this EMP available. Gonna have Captive Sun as well. Let's see how they attack this quite soon. The teleporter is going to come in from Big Dawg to take things out. The EMP did come through and gonna capture onto 3 players, maybe 5. They did go down so quickly, and well, the rest of Team Big Dawg is going to join them back in spawn. Worth and Zero combining for those kills.
Yeah, I mean, in the meantime, Worth did swap over to an Orisa of his own to try and match Orisa, who's very strong in this meta right now, even with the slight nerf that she received. As this is, you trade, I guess you trade there.
Yeah,
but the Sombra gets back so much faster.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. With the teleporter, it can be, it'll be very close, but Zero is going to swap over to the Widowmaker. Now the Captive Sun coming in from both of the Yaris, but Snake is going to be the one to find a pick, and now on the back of said pick, Red Team come in with a couple more of their own. Zero over to the Widowmaker, like I had said, it takes Boof out.
I think the big issue is keeping this Symmetra, and they're going to continue to keep it after you lose control of the first point, getting value and trying to take back the point with that nasty headshot from Ham Zero. But trying to do that with the Symmetra is so much more difficult once you've lost the point. And I mean, they're holding on to ult, but it doesn't bring you that much value.
Yeah, Zero's kind of nasty with it on the Widowmaker, if I do remember correctly, as the Terra Surge coming in from Worth takes Nuke out after the Photon Barrier was used. As the overtime bar is ticking away, and no one's really there any longer. That's going to be the first map in the favor of Red Team.
I mean, Worth had some big words in there backing it up on map 1. So far, so good. Red Team looking pretty much dominant against Team Big Dawg, showing that, you know, Big Dawg, you might have some OGs on your team, but we're Red Team / Blue Team. We've been dominating the console scene for seasons now, so you're going to have to prove yourselves against us because we're the proven commodity.
Yeah, they are indeed right now, but hey, there's still plenty more Overwatch to be played here, as these two teams still have at least 2 maps to go, with the first map going in the favor of Red Team. Now we take a trip to Hybrid here, Ray. The choices are Eichenwald, Hollywood, Kings Row, or Midtown. If you are Team Big Dawg, where would you expect to be going here?
Eichenwald, Hollywood, Kings Row, and Midtown. I don't know, because I don't think we've gotten a true glimpse of what Team Big Dawg likes to play. We saw them on the Junker Queen composition. Didn't work out so well for them, but they were kind of going up against a split composition with the D.Va, which if you go to Kings Row, for example, playing the Brawl with the Junker Queen works so much more better, so much more effectively, because you're mostly just pushing through chokes. So maybe they want to play that composition, so you bring it to more of a map like that, but I'm not exactly sure. If you're more Winston favored, maybe they want to take you to Eichenwald, but it's tough to know based on one map what team compositions they favor and what we might see for map pick wise.
So, well, we've already gotten the map pick coming in here, which is quite quickly, and it looks like Team Big Dawg will be taking us to Kings Row.
As you saw the little change to the background, we're now going to be traveling to a little bit of London. I think to me that spells that Big Dogs are going to want to play this kind of brawl style competition. Junker Queen did get that buff on this new patch where she got the 15 extra damage on the direct hits with the jagged blade. So I think Junker Queen was already kind of viable even in Overwatch League, you know, so with that additional buff, it makes her even better. But the big problem is, as we mentioned, Worth expanding his tank heroes to be able to play those off tanks like the D.Va. He is known for being a very talented main tank, like a Reinhardt and like a Junker Queen type player. So I think Red Team is going to be very prepared to match them in this if necessary.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. But we are just waiting to figure out, maybe see some swaps to come in for either of these two teams. I know Big Dawg has a couple of players in lobby that they might look to make a swap for going into this map, but we will see. And we do actually have that substitution coming in. Life is coming in for on the support line.
Oh yeah, for Boof, as you mentioned. So gonna be curious to see what changes there. Is there a certain hero in Life's hero pool that's gonna favor itself a little bit more to the Brawl style composition? Like maybe you have more of a Baptiste player, or I'm not sure what's gonna go on here, but I like the idea. You gotta change something up because that first map was pretty dominant in the favor of red team.
Well, our handy dandy team sheets has said that they play mostly Lifeweaver at the moment. So maybe we'll be seeing Lifeweaver come out. It has, they have been Lifeweaver gotten a little bit better recently in with these new changes going towards them. So it is definitely more viable to play Lifeweaver than it was, say, a month ago.
Yeah, I've had some talks with you know players in tier 2 and stuff like that, and I've asked them what their thoughts on Lifeweaver and stuff like that was. I mean, their thought is like Lifeweaver is incredible on the healing side. Like you can pump out like probably some of the most heals out of any support in the game, but that's really all you can focus on. If you're going to play Lifeweaver, you have to pair him with a support who adds more utility and more damage to the field, because Lifeweaver is just not going to be providing that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't really seen it paired with anything else, paired with anything at the moment. So I'm going in blind, maybe. We'll definitely see here. We have a new update. Map might not be King's Row. We are seeing a debate from Big Dawg at the moment.
I mean, we're going to have to, we'll see. Only time will tell, but I am very excited to figure out where these teams are going to want to bring us. But as you mentioned, we haven't really seen a lot of Lifeweaver, but if I'm just speculating, talking about what possibly could be paired with them, I mean, if you're thinking about just damage-oriented support players, I think you probably would go more on the side of like a Baptiste to go with him, or an Alari, where they can just pump out a lot of damage, and especially Alari, who, Baptiste does need to focus on those heals a little bit. With Alari, you can just place your pylon, rely on your Lifeweaver to do most of the heals, and then you can start being aggressive and looking for those angles and picks. But we do have it officially. It is going to be King's Row.
Yeah, I was thinking kind of along the lines of the Alari, but I didn't want to be wrong, so I didn't say anything. But now that you've said it, the smarter person has said it, I will say I was definitely thinking of that now that I can steal it and think, say as my own. But heading into King's Row, we'll see how these two teams are going to really try to attack things. And right now, I do like that look of Team Big Dawg, with like we were talking about, Lifeweaver and the Baptiste coming out there, and as well Nuke on the Bastion. Very, very high powered DPS at the moment, as they're going to switch over to the Alari.
Which, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. That tends to be what kind of the meta is with that Orisa right now, is the Bap Alari. You get bunch of heals to be able to be pumped up between your healing pylon, between the Baptiste and the sustain with that immortality field. The Bastion getting thrown into the mix is so deadly, especially on a defensive end where you can hold a corner and you get heals from your team. You can just pump up a lot of damage onto the side of red team with that turret form.
We'll see how they come into this. Red team making that swap over to the Orisa as well there, as Dinks trying to get in, but they're going to be beamed down immediately by Nuke, and that's going to be the real thing they're going to have to worry about. That DPS that can come through from Nuke on this Bastion is immense, even in this recon form now, as we're still waiting, vying for positioning, waiting for that respawn to come back.
Yeah, I do like this positioning that Hopeful's taking. It's not going to allow Big Dogs to poke a lot, as the Sombra also provides a lot of distraction for this Bastion.
As Nuke trying to beam down Worth, but the healing is there, and that's really the name of the meta right now. Who can out-heal and who can keep their tank up the longest, as Hey I'm Zero now comes in, takes life out, and that might be it for the attacking, or the defense of point one, and that is going to be that Worth finding Nuke out. It is just Paradox left, but they can only do so much as red team take the point.
Yeah, this composition for Red Team is quite an interesting one because they're playing the idea that between Worth, Dinks, and Snake, they can handle themselves and they can keep Worth alive. And that allows Hayam, Zero, and Hopeful to kind of take their own angles and do their own thing. And when the hacks come in, then the team can really sync up together. But it's allowing these DPS players to really shine in being able to get a lot of value off just their individual play.
Yeah, as the rotations now coming in, the setup is there. They are able to, Big Dawg was able to get to the archways, but the EMP comes out and just already demolishes their defense. They are going to try to turn it around with Life's ultimate there. The Captive Sun, but it's just not going to do really anything.
Yeah, and one of the most disappointing things about that lost fight for Big Dawg's Joker is you exchanged EMP for 2 of your ultimates. You used Amp Matrix and you used that Captive Sun, so that just puts Red Team in even more of a snowball position because they're going to have 4 ultimates for this next fight.
Yeah, as now, it's just going to be very hard for Big Dawg to win this out. They're going to have to find some good picks with the artillery strike, but they only find the healing pylon. They still have ultimates, though, here. Trying to turn it around, and finding Worth out is huge. The Bob being invested by Godspeed as well, trying to clean house. And it looks like they are going to be able to get the defensive hold, but hey, they didn't get anything out from Red Team.
Yeah, that's the big thing is you threw in all the rest of the ultimates you had outside of the Terra Surge, but like you mentioned, Red Team used 0. So that is very good awareness from Red Team. Like, hey, we lost someone. Let's just live to fight another day. Don't commit any ults to this fight. We'll come back in with a huge ult advantage to bring this point home.
Now, Scatter does still have this Terra Surge, and I've seen a very big Terra Surges coming in from a lot of Orissas in this recent, for the Stage 1 playoffs, but hey, they've already lost Paradox. Scatter tried to turn it around, but that's just not possible. They are able to come in back, use 2 ultimates for Red Team, and take the point.
Yeah, to me, that was a little too choreographed, in my opinion, Joker. Like, that was really obvious that Scatter was about to Terra Surge there. Just kind of like walked forward into the team and was like looking for it. I think as an Orisa, you got to be a little bit like less obvious, a little more clever about when you're going to use that Terra Surge, because Red Team was able to just get back and avoid the worst case scenario there. As we're looking to this next fight, Big Dogs, they're coming up on their support ultimates once again, but Red Team still has the Captive Sun and the Terra Surge to work with.
Now the change coming in. We've got a Widowmaker 1v1 coming out onto the board. Nuke and Hopeful onto the Widowmakers respectively for their teams. See how that can really take place, who can get the upper hand, but Paradox is going to be the one taking 0 out, now investing the Amp Matrix, the big rotation back though. Keeping away from the Amp Matrix in trying to stay alive. Now the Amp Matrix is gone, and now the go sign is there for Red Team. As Hey, I'm Zero's back, they've got the EMP out, but they did get away. They only got 3 with said EMP, but 3 is enough. Hopeful's lining up all the shots they need in the world to take out the remaining players, and it's trying to get the little bit of the stragglers as Red Team keep pushing.
Oh, that's very close. This Widow duel is getting intense between Nuke and Hopeful, and Worth is still held on to this Terra Surge, but Nuke has won the Widow 1v1, but gets killed by Hayam Zero.
Yeah, Zero, the deadly assassin, I would say, the silent assassin, coming in clutch for Red Team now, as they're looking to take Godspeed out too, but Worth's going to be able to come into the fray of things. The Terra Surge now finally coming online, and it is only going to find the Immortality Field and Healing Pylon, and they go down in the end. Now the Bob coming online from Godspeed, as well as the Infra Sights coming through, but still picks coming in for both of these 2 teams. No one really coming out on top just yet.
Yeah, but they couldn't push forward as quickly as they wanted to because of that bomb on the field. As I think really this amplification matrix for Dinks could make the push all the way through.
That's just rude. Amp Matrix Widowmaker shot to the dome for Scatter. Godspeed has made over the swap to the Sombra, trying to get be a little bit of a pest as Nuke just had no idea. Oh my goodness. That Hopeful's on the flank, looking for another one. 3 knock him down, looking for 4. Can they continue on this mission? Scatter finally figures out Hopeful's behind him and has to get back into with the team as Nuke comes back from Spawn, takes Snake out here. Now, Red Team have really squandered that opportunity that Hopeful had given them.
Yet despite all those picks, that Hopeful... Wait, what? What?
Zero just kind
the
of...
Sombra back cap!
Yes, Zero just kind of walked it. Just walked it forward.
As the smiley face from Worth in the chat and the deep from Hey I'm Zero. Oh, man.
Derp.
Devastating from Team Big Dog, man. That's a shot to the heart, man.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since you won the fight, but in the end, you didn't win the fight because, I mean, that's what's going to happen when, I mean, it shouldn't happen in this high of elo, but especially when you're focused on cleaning out the remainder of Red Team, your single focus is on that kill feed and finishing out his kills. That is the perfect opportunity to back cap it for Red Team there, and well, we saw it.
Yeah, I mean, they took the opportunity that they saw and they really made it work. So, you know, nice job by Hey I'm Zero for capitalizing on the situation. And as we look ahead to this defense for Red Team, they aren't swapping a whole lot. They're going to continue to keep Hopeful on this Widow defensively. So you're going to be able to take really defensive positions, but you're relying heavily on Hopeful being able to find the picks. I mean, he's proven he can get them, but it makes it a little bit tougher when your field of vision and area to work with on Widow isn't as big as like that final point on King's Row. As Big Dogs are going back to that composition, they played on Ilios Ruins, where they play the Junker Queen with that Lucio Moira. As I mentioned, it's big on speed and finding kills quickly before your Moira runs out of heals.
Yeah, definitely, and that's what I've seen from Team Big Dog casting them previously on Wednesday. They do really like to get into the face of the opposition, don't like them take these aggressive holds and what's not, as the huge rotation comes out. The ring around a Rosie coming in. Godspeed on the Tracer, looking to deal with the support line as well, but this huge flank really not working out, as Nuke is going to be taken down by Hopeful early on in the thick of things, as Godspeed tries to take down Hopeful, but not going to be able to find that last couple of bullet shots, as Hopeful is going to be the one to have the last laugh in the engagement, taking Godspeed out, forcing Team Big Dog to reset.
Listen, Red Team is no fools. They knew what Team Big Dogs were trying to do. They were trying to go on the high ground, rotate to that Widow, but counter rotation was there for Red Team onto the high ground. So very well played by Red Team, and then that just allowed Hopeful to find those picks, as we talked about, and they're continuing to shine once again. And because Big Dogs haven't really been able to get on top of anyone, their ult charge is very much lacking.
Yeah, they've got to figure it out here and now, as the rotation did come through onto the high ground where Worth is stationary, but Godseed's gonna go down. They aren't able to get into the backline, look to force out anything really from the Red Team supports. They're still trying as they may. The Terra Surge already being built up though, getting people about half health there. Now they're in this corridor. They can't really push out, but the Coalescence is there. They're gonna have to fade away and not be able to really get that value that they were looking for as the hack comes through. Still trying to stay alive. Worth so very low. The Captive Sun comes through, but are they able to capitalize on it as the EMP comes in at the perfect time for Red Team, as Scatter goes down, and now the follow-up is there from the rest of Red Team, keeping the hold going.
Yeah, Hopeful's kind of been the pop-off player, but when it's needed for red team, Hey I'm Zero has come through, as you mentioned, that EMP coming through just in time when it was looking bleak, and now they're just continuing to snowball these picks. A minute 30 left on the clock, and it is looking very bad for Big Dogs, and now they're going to swap over to the Sombra to try and the Diva, so they're looking to try and dive onto Hopeful, which I think is a very smart decision.
They've got to change something. It is kind of getting late, though. They have the sound barrier to invest as well. Nuke has the overclock. They've got to find value with it here and now, or it's going to be very, very dire as Worth does go off the side of the map. Or the side of the point, that is a huge way to open things up. And Nuke's able to take down Hopeful. Now they have this uncontested sight line to use this overclock to as well, and taking Zero out. This should be Big Dog taking this point with Paradox cleaning things off. The sound barrier might not have been needed, but to clean, make sure everyone stays up for that in the long run. Team Big Dog are able to take the point.
Yeah, I mean, you get a consolation kill onto Godspeed, but I do think that sound barrier was kind of a mistake from Life. I mean, they're only going to have 3 minutes to push through the second point, so having every single one of those ultimates is going to be that much more important, and especially since you don't have a lot of heals between the Kiriko Lucio, that sound barrier would have been very helpful for this fight coming up.
Definitely. But they still are going to have to contest with ultimates coming online, but not just yet. Well, as I speak, Worth does build up. But the overclock now available from Nuke, but they are just forced away. The Kitsune Rush now coming as well, but they aren't really able to find the picks as Terra Surge just cuts everyone off from really ingressing with the help of the Kitsune Rush. They do find Snake out, which is huge in the long run, but and Zero combined take out Nuke. The EMP coming through as well, cleaning out the house, but the Suzu's there. They have still the opportunity, does Big Dog, to keep going forward, and the DMAC though onto Scatter is going to be huge in the long run. The Javelin, a nice Javelin coming in from Worth, decloaking Godspeed, but red team has to reset.
It's an absolutely crazy EMP charge rate coming out from Hey I'm Zero, Joker. They used it at the end, toward the end of that first point, and they got another EMP before Godspeed was able to even build up to one. That's crazy.
Well, speaking of Godspeed's EMP, it has come out, but they're really not able to follow it up on it. Godspeed's already out back to the bookstore, and now they have to come in here, but they do take Worth out. That is huge. That front line's now gone, and red team's on the retreat.
But that's pretty much all the ultimates on the board for Big Dogs. You're getting really close to double support ultimates, as Worth is now going over to the Zarya, who's okay. With those staggers, that is going to be the point cap for Big Dogs. So very well done chasing those kills. Red team going over to the Zarya, and I like that going against the Diva, especially with that new buff that Zarya's gotten to her ally bubbles, being bigger and being able to take more damage for your DPS.
So that new mid-season patch did come through here already, so that interesting. I'm very excited to see more Zarya if that is the case. But right now it is the tale of the two DPS, Hopeful and Hopeful and Hey I'm Zero, going in, finding the 3 picks to hold on to that defense.
And that's the other thing about the Diva that Scatter's playing, is you can't eat any of that Zarya damage. We now see them having to swap off the Diva because of that over to the Orisa. But I do think with the changes, if you can get up to a big enough charge on the Zarya, you can melt that Orisa pretty quickly, because that Javelin Spin can't eat your primary fire.
Yeah, and Hopeful, well, still doing Hopeful things on the on their DPS role, as Zero again built up to EMP, looking to get to the end of it there. The EMP now built up. Speaking of very high ultimate charge, Worth almost already up to their ultimate as well. The Cactus Sun coming through as well as that EMP, but still trades coming around thanks to that Kitsune Rush that Paradox was able to use there. Now Big Dog are still able to push forward, but Hopeful trying to turn it around with an ultimate of their own. The overclock coming through, and it's working out for them as Zero gets in and takes out the remaining 2 players, as Now, red team holding strong, 57 seconds to go.
Yeah, Hopeful provided a lot of that damage in that fight, allowed Hey I'm Zero to be able to capitalize on all that damage, and Worth is building up closer and closer to this Graviton Surge. The only thing you gotta be worried about if you're Worth is making sure you draw out that Javelin Spin first so it does not get eaten, and they have Dinks on the brig being able to sustain with the rally.
As the healing pylon already gone as well, keeping Scatter away, but now the overclock is coming in from Nuke. They're just going to be able to use that, as well as that Captive Sun coming in, taking that fight pretty pretty easily. They do lose life in the long while, though. That is huge going into this next fight.
Yeah, red team's gonna be able to get back, and they didn't use any ultimates in that fight, so they're really hoping that Godspeed's going to find better value out of this EMP this time around. As we talked about last time, we're not able to capitalize last time. They need to get it this time.
What? The Terra Surge? Question mark? And using the Graviton Surge in response, there's the EMP coming in from Godspeed. But can they get the follow-up thanks to that, the rally coming in from Red Team? And, well, the answer is no. They can't get into the thick of things with Red Team. Hopeful swapped over to the Bastion. The EMP built up yet again from Zero to finish the remaining players on the point. The Captive Sun in celebration. Red Team take the map and are up 2-0 in the series.
And, you know, those big words from Worth are continuing to reign very strong right now. They're that much closer to coming true on his prediction with the 3-0. Red team just looking like that dominant team that we know them to be. Big dogs. Hopefully, gotta try and find some sort of answer. But, I mean, this map was pretty close. I just think back, Joker, to what if they just realized and had someone on the point and didn't allow them to back cap? What would we be looking at right now?
Yeah, it was very close to where it probably would have been. But again, this isn't a game. This isn't a game of what ifs. This is what happened. And in the end, Red Team are up 2-0 in the series. We do have it result though from the CGL 3 stream. Strawberry took a 3-0 over Lunaris. Now is awaiting the winner of this matchup for the grand finals in the next couple of days. We are going to head to a short little break though before we head into map number 3. Do not go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss the conclusion of this series right after this. Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to Open Tier Playoffs round number 2. We are headed into map number 3 here, and it is going to be Flashpoint. We are also heading to Saravasa.
It was the pick of Big Dogs once again, and they are taking us to India. So very excited. This new mode I've been enjoying it a lot. I think it's much better than Push as a new mode. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it feels like Control, but like less of the gripes of Control, where basically you win the first fight and then you're basically just protecting the chokes, and it's really easy. So being able for it to be all the same map, 3 different points to win, and there's a lot of fights that can break out in between points, and I find really interesting. It adds a lot of awareness to teams like, hey, they're down a person and probably grouped up over here. Let's go wipe them out before we go to the next point.
Yeah, that could, it's going to be really fun to see here. We have another prediction from a Worth Shatter yet again, and he is doubling down on his 3-0 prediction, not only on the series, but on Flashpoint as well. So again, big words, but they've been able to back it up with the play so far. As, I mean, the story, the score line already shows they're in pretty good place to do get a 3-0 here.
Could not agree more. They have shown why they are the big dogs. I mean, they're really the big dogs of the console scene. They've been the dominant one, winning pretty much every season they come into. So they're just continuing that momentum forward, and we'll see if big dogs can come up with any sort of solution. I feel like Hopeful and Ham Zero have just been able to do so much, because when you're playing Orisa like we saw Worth playing on the last map, especially when you got a Baptiste Ilari, I think it's a bad decision to try and go after this Orisa. There's just too much healing, too many cooldowns for the Orisa, so they have to find a way to get to Hamza. I mean, they attempted on the Junker Queen, but Red Team's doing a good job of not letting them do that, but you gotta keep trying at that. Go like Wrecking Ball or Winston if you have to, but you gotta get after these DPS.
Yeah, you definitely do. And well, with Flashpoint, it really does bode it's well if you are playing a faster composition here. And just want to give you guys an update. Red Team is dealing with some tech issues, so we are still just waiting on them to go in there. But what I was saying, Flashpoint, it pays to be faster than normal just because of how things do take to get into the things it does take to get into each Flashpoint there. Yeah,
I definitely agree with you there. And the interesting thing is with Flashpoint, the point ticks up faster. Like if you have 3 people on the point, so that always adds that interesting like situation. Like if you have control of the point, do you as a team try and push up aggressively and just try and win the fight, or do you value gaining that percentage faster, keeping more people on the point and just taking the fight on the point? It's an interesting conundrum.
Yeah, definitely. It does, again, tick faster. If you were thinking kind of like Control, it is faster. You do only get about 2 to 3 fights in a Flashpoint point. And instead of like a Control where you'd get maybe 4 or 5. And again, if this is your first time seeing Flashpoint, you haven't really played it, it is a first to 3. Every time the first point is that central point in the middle market, which is that A point, then it will go sporadically to any of the other ones, being Garden, Palace, Temple, or Ruins.
Yeah, it adds a lot of interesting situations because it could be slightly closer to the team who just lost the point, which gives them a nice advantage coming in the next fight because then they can go take the point that much easier. As we look at the compositions for these teams, Big Dog is going full in on the dive. This sure reminds me, it's a very similar composition to what the Houston Outlaws were playing in the Overwatch League. The only difference is they were playing the Kiriko instead of the Moira. It's just full on dive, just your Genji, your Tracer, and your Doomfist all working together. For Red Team, continuing to play this this Orisa once again. Hopeful on the Soldier 76, so again, he's the one you need to go after.
Yeah, definitely, as we're seeing Scatter go over to the Doomfist here, which is, again, one of those quicker heroes that you can get into, as we do have a swap as well. PogChamp's coming in to play the Genji here. It is looking good for Big Dawg right now. They got 0 out of this fight. They've been looking to take more, but losing Scatter is huge as well. They've got to be able to solidify, but it just does not seem like that is going to be possible. Red team are able to stay on, as Hopeful does some push-ups on the point.
Yeah, that's the one issue with the composition that Big Dawg is playing with the Doomfist. Doomfist can easily be punished if he goes just half a meter sticks out a little bit too far, or that cooldown's just a second away, and then you're able to just focus all that damage on him and bring him down faster, and Red team found the opening and were able to get back in there. And now Hopeful can just find a perch and just look for these angles to try and attack Big Dawg from.
They've got to figure it out here. It's up to 40% already for Red Team. The Ghost Sign has to be a pick from someone like Nuke or PogChamp. As the rotation comes through, they've got people separated, but a nice play from Worth, getting the Scatter away with that Javelin throw, allowing Hopeful to take PogChamp out of the fight, and still holding on. They do lose Snake, but again, it is just a consolation pick for Big Dawg. They are not able to capitalize on anything.
I mean, Red team just continuing to just dominate this Doomfist. I mean, it's finding picks here and there, but Red team, just in the meantime, they're just finding the picks in the mid fight. It seems like the Big Dogs are just too scattered. You're playing a dive composition. The Doomfist, the Tracer, and the Genji all need to be synced up, fighting together, as that is first point capture for Red team, as we now head to Palace for the next bout. And as we saw, it was a lot closer for Big Dawg, so they get the positioning on the point first.
Yeah, they aren't really in a position, though, to take advantage of it with that the composition that they're running. But hey, they do find Hopeful out, but still, losing Easton, another swap that did come in for Big Dawg, with the EMP coming in from Zero, really gonna clean things up for them in the end, as Worth is on point, just hunkering things down. Nuke trying to take down Zero. They do get way with their translocator, as Red team tick up yet again.
As Hopeful's going to find the stagger onto Nuke, and that's just going to be even more percentage in the favor for Red team. Is look at all those check marks Red team have. They just have so many tools in their chest available to be able to continue to hold this point. Big Dawg are really hoping on a naked blade from PogChamp, no nano with it, to try and set things up. That's a tough ask.
Yeah, as the Amp Matrix has already come out from Dinks now with the Tap Visor as well. Terra Surge coming through, looking to just clean house here. They do lose Hopeful in the long run, but still, it's just not, they haven't really found anything yet. But with all the ultimates that have been used by Red team, things are looking a little bit better for Big Dawg. I mean, unless Scatter just gets CC'd to oblivion there by the Javelin spin. Still, Big Dawg now in a good position. They've got this Dragon Blade, they've got the Sound Barrier, but they've lost Scatter before they can use that Sound Barrier onto them. Now this is not looking too good. The Dragon Blade is there. Snake goes down. Dinks as well. The overtime bar ticking away. Can they get the touch on the point? They do get there in the last second, but it is just a couple of squishies left on the point. Paradox trying to keep them up and healthy, but it's not really possible in the long run.
And this is what it comes down to, Joker. One final point for Big Dawg to try and bring this back, do a reverse sweep on Flashpoint and force a map number 4. Are they going to be able to do that? Red team has just been so dominant. We're heading to, it looked like what, Ruins is the next map, next point to be able to fight on, but just, hey, I'm Zero. You're going to have the EMP. Snake is going to have this Captive Sun. You're really hoping this Kitsune Rush coming out from Paradox is going to be the thing to get you this point, where they've now swapped over to the Junker Queen.
Well, it really has to. This is getting towards where it is almost impossible to come back from. It's still so It's still so up in the air, but with the captive sun finding Easton out, no longer really having that speed, but they don't really need it with the Kitsune Rush coming in, and well, Team Big Dog are able to finally take a fight.
Yeah, I think Hey I'm Zero was really debating. They were trying to build up to that EMP, and they were debating whether they were going to be able to use that as the pause is going to come through. So they were debating whether they wanted to use that EMP. They built up to it in the fight, but in the meantime, too many of their players dropped, so they just decided, you know, let's let this one go. We can re-engage with this EMP, and we'll be in a much better spot, and we can still win this point and keep Worth Shatter's word.
Yeah, they still got a lot of time to go. Again, they've got at least 2 more fights here to figure it out if to keep their word true. But they are still set up pretty well. They've got the EMP like you were talking about. They've also got this Terra Surge coming available, but Zero now in the backline. Easton might have a kind of a sixth sense about where they are though, but very low. Scatter needs to get that healing, still trying to build it up. There's the EMP coming out, finding 4. There's no real way to stave off the aggression coming in now from Red Team as they come back clutch. 58% though, and 61% for Team Big Dog on the point.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of the composition swap we saw from Big Dog, they're not going to have any ults in this fight. The closest thing is 25% away from the Junker Queen Rampage, as Worth is going to be able to have this Terra Surge, and they have the Amp Matrix to work with. I think Red Team's in a position to try and match, if not do better, on this percentage that Big Dog was able to get.
So now they're trying to rotate around here, getting to the point, but Snake has already found out Easton. They've got to figure out more, but they're still walking into ultimates coming from them. The Terra Surge not really finding more picks, but they do get them bunched up to capitalize onto them as Zero finds 3 there and is going to be able to build up to 60% already to that next EMP.
And it only costs them the Terra Surge. You're going to be able to come into this fight, as you mentioned, getting close to the EMP, but you have the Amp Matrix. You almost have this overclock, that hopeful sneaking around looking for, and you're getting close to a captive sun. This is looking dangerous for Big Dog. They need these bunches of ultimates they're going to have coming online to come through.
That's it. And Nuke going down, not going to be able to get that investment unless they can get something huge with this Rampage. They do find 3 with it, and they might be able to hold on with the Kitsune Rush now coming through. The Paradox comes in and takes down the Snake out of this fight. They're still able to hold on. The point did get flipped in the meanwhile. The Dragon Blade coming through as well, and it looks like Team Big Dog, that was a little presumptuous from myself. Team Big Dog are able to take this fight and take the flashpoint.
And they throw the words of Worth Shatter back in his face. We got this. We are looking to reverse sweep this point. Here we go, baby. Team Big Dogs have found their stride. The only issue there, I mean, they had to Joker, but that was every single ultimate they had. Red Team's going to have an EMP. They're going to have a captive sun. They're in a really good position right now as we head into Garden for point number 4.
Yeah, they might have won the battle, but it looks like they've set themselves up to lose the war with the EMP coming in there. Now everyone can get into the face of Team Big Dog. They only did, okay, now they're finding the picks coming in with the captive sun coming through as well. Cleaning house for Red Team as they take the point with the team kill.
And it cost them 2 ultimates, and Red Team is just rotating their ultimates so well. Big Dogs, their composition, if you know, they're not getting a lot of kills really quickly, it takes a while for them to build up to the ultimates. As I mentioned, they used all of them in that previous fight. So it's going to be a minute before they build up to anything, as Worth has this Terra Surge to be able to work with, but they found Zero.
Yeah, they find Zero there. Now they look to rotate with the Terra Surge coming in, though. Not going to find any picks, but still, building up to ultimates is a Red Team. They're going to be able to invest the Kitsune Rush, though, from Paradox coming in from Team Big Dog to, well, get back to this point with overclocking response. Hopeful now has that ultimate up, and they're going to be able to take Scatter out of this fight, and that's going to help them solidify yet again for Red Team.
As if you are Big Dogs, I think you need to die. Just get out quick, because you're coming down to 1 fight to try and keep your hopes alive on Suravasa. You're going to have a sound barrier. Nuke is going to have that overclock. Nuke is the hero for Big Dogs to try and keep this alive. Needs to have a big overclock.
It's losing Scatter is just going to do it. They didn't get able to get the touch there in the end. Red team take the map and the series in a 3-0 fashion.
I mean, the words from Worth do reign a little empty. They did not provide the 3-0, but it was a 3-1. Overall, very dominant coming out from Red Team, and they get to move on to the grand finals. As mentioned in chat and what Joker said before the break, they will play Strawberry to decide who's getting that extra match point in their favor. And both teams had a dominating 3-0 on stream. So I can't wait to see who's going to take the victory. I'm assuming tomorrow or Sunday, since they have to be done by the end of the week.
Oh yeah, that would be that is probably most likely what's going to happen. But for that, it really is about it. Red team just came to play, and it showed out coming in from the first map there. But they did just not allow Team Big Dog to get going, which was what they were able to do in their previous stage 1 playoffs match. And well, they pay for it. They aren't able to stand their ground, and in the end, Red Team are able to take the series in a 3-0 fashion.
Yeah, congratulations to Red Team. They just looked so incredibly dominant throughout the entire series. And I can't wait to see how the grand finals match goes against Strawberry. So keep an eye for that. I'm sure someone's going to be casting it. I know I'm going to attempt to try and do that. So, but with that, that's going to wrap things up for me and Joker. Shout outs to the prod. We had Rhino who was producing, and we had Hippie and Kha'Zix doing the observing. So shout outs to them. We couldn't do what we do if it wasn't for you guys. And thank you, everyone who's in chat, for tuning in to this series. Red Team taking the dominating 3-0. I've been 2TryHardRay, joined by Joker's Ransom, and we'll see you on another cast. Peace.
Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave.